Hey folks, how you doing? This is the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast right here on the American Liberty Radio Network. I know that you folks are just wanting to know the truth. Welcome to the show. It's the 15th of April, tax day, 2015. Yes, I know, the dreaded T word. I gotta tell you folks, taxes are illegal. Little coffee there. Taxes are illegal because, you're going to have both types of people come to you and say, well, they're not illegal because, and they're going to give their reason. You're going to have those coming out of the woodwork saying taxes are illegal because, and they're going to give their reason. Hey, I have a solution. Let's not pay taxes. If it's there, it's right there. Let's not pay them. Don't pay them. I don't advocate breaking the law. I advocate doing what's right for the benefit of the people. And if the laws suppress the people's freedom, we have an obligation and a duty to defend ourselves by any means necessary. And if that means that 10 or 12 or 15 or 30 or 100 million people in America do not pay taxes. 20% of the American working people pay 80% of the taxes. If those 20% said, no way, I'm not going to pay them. I'm not going to pay anymore. I'm done. I'm not going to pay them. What are they going to do? Come after that 20% and put them all in jail? What's 20% of 300 million people? Or at least, say, 200 million? What? You're going to throw 400,000 people into a debtor's prison? Huh? I thought that went out in the 1800s. I thought that was abolished. Huh. It's kind of weird. We are forced to pay taxes when, and you can look this up on YouTube, Harry Reid said in an interview that taxes are voluntary, but the interviewer said, yeah, but if you don't pay them, you'll go to jail. He goes, yeah, but it's voluntary. Yeah, excuse me? What type of hypocrisy is this government engaging in? I never could understand that. Pay taxes to do what? Send your boys and girls over to other countries to kill other boys and girls? Is that insane? The only freedom we need to be fighting is right here in the United States of America, and our constitutional militia and the citizens of the United States need to understand that. And so does the military, and so does the federal government. Because our founding fathers said one thing: do not have a centralized government. Do not have a centralized banking system. Folks, 2015, April 15th, what do we have? A centralized government and a centralized banking system. How hypocritical is that? Think about it, folks. And while you're doing that, I'll go to break. And while I'm at break, you can email me at AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com, AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com. You can go to thewaynesPierceShow.weebly.com or to my personal website, WayneSPierce.com. Check things out. I shall return in just a moment, folks. Don't go away. This is the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast right here on the American Liberty Radio Network. You are listening to the most powerful network on the internet. This is the American Liberty Radio Network, sharing the truth, one fact at a time, without all the bull. American Liberty Radio Network, AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. What we see is not reality. It is distorted reality. Go to Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker on Facebook. Rockin' the indie hits on the only station you need. Radio Rock 92.6 The Blitz on Spreaker.com. RadioRockTheBlitz.blogspot.com. Hey folks, how you doing? This is the Wayne S. Pierce Show right here for the 15th of April 2015, right here on the American Liberty Radio Network on Spreaker.com and also on the Wayne S. Pierce Show.weebly.com site. How you doing? You can go to my personal website too, WayneSPierce.com. Check it out. Oh yeah, I'm going to be on another show today live. Yes. Waking Up the Masses on Truth Frequency Radio, I believe that's what it is. Let me go give you the right information before I put my foot in my mouth. Today on Waking Up the Masses, we welcome, that's Waking Up the Masses at Truth Frequency Radio. And that's going to be myself and Mr. Nick Tucker from Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker on Facebook. That's truthfrequencyradio.com. Click on the Listen Live tab, and that'll be at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, and right there at truthfrequencyradio.com. Check things out, folks. There are several things that we need to pay attention to, and I think that I don't think it's so much in the news as deeply as it is. I mean, in the mainstream as deeply as it is in the alternative, and that is, did you know there's an ISIS base right at the American border in Texas, about 8 miles away? Did you know that? Yeah, Mexican officials confirm an ISIS training camp just across the border from Texas. I'll put that one on the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page. I don't know, folks. ISIS is operating a camp just a few miles from El Paso, Texas, according to Judicial Watch sources that include a Mexican Army field grade officer and a Mexican federal police inspector. The exact location where the terrorist group has established its base is around 8 miles from the U.S. border in an area known as Anapra, situated just west of Ciudad Juarez in Mexico, in the Mexican state of Chihuahua. Another ISIS cell to the west of that is in Puerto Palomas, targets the New Mexico towns of Columbus and Deming for easy access to the United States. The same knowledgeable sources confirmed. Now, says here, during the course of a joint operation last week, Mexican Army and federal law enforcement officials discovered documents in Arabic and Urdu, as well as plans of Fort Bliss, the sprawling military installation that houses the U.S. Army's 1st Armored Division. Muslim prayer rugs were recovered with the documents during the operation. Law enforcement and intelligence sources report the area around Annapra is dominated by Vicente Carrillo Fuentes cartel. La Linea, which is the enforcement arm of the cartel, and the Barrio Azteca gang originally formed in the jails of El Paso. Cartel control of the Annapra area make it an extremely dangerous and hostile operating environment for Mexican Army and federal police operations. That's from rightwingnews.com. And I will, and even Snopes weighed in on this, where there are 4 ISIS members arrested at the U.S. border. That was back October 13th, 2014. September 17th is ISIS in Mexico and planning to cross the border. And also in April 14th, 2015, that would be yesterday, Islamic State operating in Mexico just 8 miles from the U.S. border. Well, that throws a wrench in PolitiFact and Snopes, doesn't it? So don't even trust those people anymore. I know it's just one story. You know. What can you say, right? I'm going to put it to you this way. And I don't care what country you live in, because you are being suppressed. You're a human being. You're flesh and blood. You require liberty and freedom to raise your family, to do whatever work you want to do, to start a business, to whatever it is you want to do, to worship how you want, to follow your conscience. You have the liberty and freedom to do that because you are flesh and blood. No one, no government, no organization, no terrorist group is going to tell you otherwise. Frankly, and my point is, you have a duty and obligation to defend yourself from enemies, foreign and domestic. And if that includes the leaders of your government, so be it. I don't know what else to say. I mean, if somebody's attacking you, no matter who they are, you have the God-given right to defend yourself. That's just the way it is. Okay? So as far as I am concerned, as far as I know, as far as I can understand this, for the last 6 years, 6.5 years, I would even say for the last 5 years, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Mujahideen, ISIL, CIA operatives have staged themselves at the U.S. border on the Mexican side. I believe it's time for the American people to make sure none of them cross the border. That includes Mexicans and cartel members that are being funded by these people. Now, I know. That's extreme, right? I know. I know that's extreme, right? I know. Well, you said you're human beings and they have a right to be free, so in their own minds, they think they have to do what they do to be free. Okay. Folks, logic is on or off. Logic is someone's attacking me, I am going to defend myself. Logic is if I'm being skull-plugged through state-run media propaganda and something in me doesn't feel right about it, I'm going to question everything they do. And I'm going to set the record straight. The facts are there, folks. The facts are there. Okay? If at some point, I gotta turn my phone down, folks. If at some point you get someone that comes into your neighborhood and starts terrorizing it, remember these words I'm about to say. You have a God-given right to protect yourself. I don't care what God you follow. It doesn't really matter to me. But you have the conscious belief within yourself that you are guided by a higher power. Therefore, that power, that God, if you will, has given you certain unalienable rights, meaning the government or any other organization cannot take those away from you. And you must defend yourself. Even aside from that, folks, you know for a fact that when you're attacked, your inner being is going to do everything it can to survive. Okay? That's just the way it is. Every cell in your body that is attacked by something else is going to defend itself. You as a whole person are no different. Someone attacks you, you're going to defend yourself. Somebody attacks your family, you're going to defend them. Somebody attacks your coworker, you're going to help defend them. This is the way it is. Is there a risk? Of course there is. There's a risk in everything. Shoot, there's a risk in you walking out of your door, going to the corner, and having a car go out of control and hit you or something. I mean, it's... The people in 1773 in America that poured the tea off of the boat into the harbor knew exactly what they were doing. Yeah, they staged it. Yeah, they blamed other people, but look at the whole process in that. They met in secret. They planned this out and they said, no, we're not going to be taxed by King George anymore. We're done. And they dumped it off into the tea off into the water. Today on Waking Up the Masses on Truth Frequency Radio, Robert Bruce, myself, and Nick Tucker are probably going to get into some of that to show you exactly who's running the game, who's putting all of this into play, who's making this who's twisting and turning and spinning everything to their advantage. Well, guess what? Because of 24-hour news cycle that's been around for over 30 years, because of now what we call social media, because of people talking, and because everything is getting out, and because the truth is, and whistleblowers are coming out giving the truth to these alternative and independent media outlets, even George Soros and others have said, including Hillary Clinton, they are losing the info war. Not Alex Jones. They are losing the information war that they set up. In other words, their narrative is being found out. The stuff they are doing behind the scenes is being found out. The veil is being pulled away. And now we see who they are. And guess what? They don't like it. And they're going to do everything they can to stop us. Through UN sanctions against the American people, through their policies and quote-unquote treaties. The Senate has to sign off on that to allow that to happen. From that to having cops beat the crap out of you because you're asking them, why are you stopping me? Or worse. They're instilling fear into the American people for what? For their own reasons. What is their reason? To suppress us. Why? To control us. Why? They want slaves. We have a military-industrial complex which contracts out to different entities such as Boeing and all these other people, Lockheed Martin, all these skunk works operations. We have a prison industrial complex which is driving down wages as we speak. Yeah, look at it. Just examine the numbers in the prison industrial complex compared to the numbers that are outside. Look at how much money these prison industrial complex institutes that are run by the federal government and that are private, that contract with the federal government, make over a simple business that you and I could run. That's a broad range of data to look at, but you'll get the idea. We have a military-industrial complex, a prison-industrial complex, a media complex. I call the state-run media. It's no longer truth in journalism, truth in advertising, or anything of that nature. It is literally propaganda. Okay? If I see a news story and I want to dig deeper into it and tell you exactly what's behind the scenes, I'm going to do that. But the people on TV or on NPR or any other place, MSNBC, whatever, they're not going to do that. They're just going to, they have an agenda is what I'm saying. And their agenda is simply is this: to control you, to control the narrative, to make you do exactly what they want you to do and dance on the head of the pin their way. And guess what, folks? It's both parties. There's progressives in both parties. It has nothing to do with the loyalty they have to the American people. It has nothing to do with the idea that America is of, by, and for the people. The politicians don't really care about that. George Carlin was right in his stand-up routine where he said, they don't care about you. I go one further than that. They don't care about you. They never have. They never will. And the one thing that stands out above all of it is the fact that people, you and I, are now becoming aware of that apathy that they have towards the American people. And guess what? We're standing up. We're not hundreds of thousands strong out in the streets making sure that our politicians are either arrested and thrown in jail or kicked out of office or whatever. We're not there yet. My question is, why not? But we tend to have this thought of, well, let's sleep on it. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Let's see what happens in the next election cycle. There's not going to be one, folks. Because if it continues on this year the way that it has been the last 6.5 years, and I hope I'm wrong about this, and if I am, call me on the carpet. Hold my feet to the fire on this one. But in the next 1.5 years, if things go the same way that they've gone in the last 6.5 years, there's not going to be a presidential election. President Obama will be Chancellor Obama, set up as a dictator, and he's going to be running the show which he is now, through the executive branch. And, as we all know now, as a result of the hearing between former Defense Secretary Leon Panetta and Senator Jeff Sessions, Congress is irrelevant. They have no power anymore. All the power is coming from the executive branch. And guess who leads that? Is he going to leave office? Probably not willingly, if that's the case. But the thing is that things have changed over the months because people have come out and said, yes, this is what's happening behind the scenes. And the people that are running the show are going, damn, they found us out. Now we have to change. We have to go into this direction. We have to go into that direction. And guess what? They're the masters of misdirection. And they're going to do everything they can to do that. While we're fighting one another over here and debating one another and trying to, outshout one another and tell each other that we're wrong or right or whatever, and to try to prove that, on the other side of the street, they're looking at us going, God, what a bunch of idiots. Now we'll just take over their whole neighborhood and they won't have a say in the matter. It comes down to this, folks. You need to wake your asses up because that's just the way it is. Well, I am awake. I know what's going on. Yeah, but are you doing anything about it? There's just so much going on that I don't... Just say yes or no. Don't give me some bullcrap story that, you got this and that. No. Are you doing anything about it? Yes or no? Well, no, but that's all that's all I need to know. You're a lazy, good for nothing, apathetic, emotionless person and you don't really care. And here's your remote, here's your easy chair, here's your beer, there's your TV. Watch your damn ESPN and shut the hell up. Or get up off of your damn ass and go out and take care of yourself, your family, your county, your city, your state, and do what's right to kick this system, I was going to say something else, in the butt and tell them to stop. And if that means going to your city council meetings, that means going to your city council meetings or your county board of supervisor meetings. Or if you're close enough, go to your state capitol. Are they going to listen to one man with a sign in the rotunda of the state capitol yelling, "We've had enough of this system"? Yeah, but the Capitol Police will haul your butt out. Will they listen if 100 people walk into that rotunda and start yelling they've had enough? Yeah. And the Capitol Police will stand down. Because there's too many of you. Strength in numbers. Make it happen. That goes for the border, too. Do what you have to do to protect yourself and to protect this country and to protect your family. Because I guarantee you, once they're in here, if they're not already here, your life is never going to be the same. Email me, AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com, AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com. Go to AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com for more information. And you can also go to my personal website, WayneSPierce.com. Check things out. I will talk to you guys later and after this break. And we'll get into some news and such. So don't go away. This is the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast on the American Liberty Radio Network. This is the American Liberty Radio Network. Email us at AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com. The reality underneath the honesty. Live Truth Radio with Brian Lang. LiveTruthRadio.com. Radio Rock 92.6 The Blitz is your home for all the independent music and movies you need. For more information, go to radiorocktheblitz.blogspot.com. What we see is not reality. It is distorted reality. Go to Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker on Facebook. Telling you the truth, whether you like it or not. The Pete Santilli Show on the Guerrilla Media Network at guerrillamedianetwork.com or gmn.is. From behind enemy lines in FEMA Region 9, this is the American Liberty Radio Network. Hello, folks. How you doing? This is Wayne S. Pierce with the Wayne S. Pierce Show right here on the American Liberty Radio Network. Go to AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com for more information. Also, go to my website, WayneSPierce.com. Check it out. You can contribute to the American Liberty Radio Network if you'd like. 3 ways of doing it right there on my personal website, WayneSPierce.com. Go check out someone really cool, man. Spencer Hughes. Go check him out. Yes. ConnectPal.com/Spencer Hughes. Check him out. Awesome. Tell him I sent you. What's in the news, man? Let's get to some news. Let's get to some news, shall we? Amen at Christmas. I don't know what's wrong with me, just yakking on there. Let's go to, let's see what Alex Jones has. Leaking of government officials' address accompanied by note warning of FEMA crackdown by NWO Satanists. Okay. ISIS camp discovered at U.S. border. All right. Questions swirl over bizarre Walmart closure. Really? Yes. Customers, employees skeptical of claim that plumbing is the reason for shutting down 5 stores for 6 months. This is from Paul Joseph Watson today, actually, the 15th of April, 2014. It says, as we reported yesterday, Walmart stores in Pico Rivera, California, Livingston, Texas, Midland, Texas, Brandon, Florida, and Tulsa, Oklahoma have announced that they were abruptly closing for the exact same reason. Plumbing problems that would take 6 months to resolve. The explanation caused consternation given that entire Walmart stores have been built within the same time frame. By the way, if you walk around a Walmart store, if you go to Walmart, you will see that it's a massive warehouse. And you can see how quickly things can be moved if you are so inclined to notice those things. Employees were told the same day that they were going to be laid off, prompting questions as to why the repair work was not planned in advance. Director of Public Works James Enriquez said a Walmart in Pico Rivera, California had not even notified authorities of plumbing problems, despite the fact that the company would be required to pull permits before undertaking extensive work. Customers reacted to the announcement by expressing their skepticism at the plumbing or example. They were and rightly so. People need to be really, really skeptical about this. Quote, why is it that just plumbing problems? It's going to take them 6 months to fix up the store? Unquote. John Mambrell told WTSP. 10 News also reported that no plumbing trucks were seen at the Walmart Brandon, Florida, while city officials said there's no record of any code violations at the store. Officials also visited the site and found no evidence of any repair work taking place. When asked why the 5 different Walmart stores all closed at the same time for the same reason, a Walmart spokesman merely reiterated the plumbing explanation, leading shopper Norma Espinoza to ask, quote, how many things have they not said, unquote. That's scary. Yes, I mean, I quoted before the end of the sentence there, but yeah, she thinks that's scary. Now, get this. There's a video there, a couple of videos on this. I'm going to put this on the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page. Pardon me, I need some water. There we go. There's a video here from Walmart in Tulsa, Oklahoma, shut down with DHS cops standing by. There's a customer was turned away from the Tulsa Walmart store. Closed for plumbing problems. Pico Rivera 4 Walmart location nationwide closed for chronic plumbing issues. Livingston Walmart Supercenter shuts down indefinitely. Weird national Walmart closure sparks conspiracy theories. There's a whole bunch there, folks. It's no longer a conspiracy theory. I want the state-run media, the propaganda machines of George Soros and Media Matters in Washington, D.C. to shut the hell up. There is no longer any conspiracy theories. Period. End of sentence. Done. You people absolutely do not know what the hell you're talking about. You never have and you never will, because you have people to please, and those people pay you every month. Now let me tell you something. I have gotten to the point where I am completely and utterly done with stupidity. Done with it. I'm just completely done with stupidity. I'm never, ever, ever, ever going to deal with anybody who is dumber than a box of turds, okay? Because it's pointless, it's a waste of my time, and it takes up too much energy. Even for me to talk about it takes up too much energy. And telling you that I'm going to stop. So I'm done. I'm done. You're stupid. You go away, grab your beer, grab your loafers, grab your chair, watch your ESPN, and hey, when they come pounding at your door, just go with them, because obviously you don't really give a crap. So anyway, how in the world do these 5 Walmart stores close? Huh? What? Why? And it's not plumbing problems. Okay? I just feel very vindicated at this point, because everything that I've heard for the last 30 some odd years that has gone on behind the scenes, the things that I have investigated, the things that I have researched, the people that I've talked to, every single thing that I've seen that would require me to take that one step further and say, yes, this is going to happen, is happening right now. Okay? I don't want to hear it anymore. You detractors out there, people who criticize Alex Jones, Glenn Beck, Pete Santilli, Michael Savage, Josh Tolley, Nick Tucker, Brian Lang, Robert Bruce, myself, for those people criticizing us, I'm going to say this. Shut your big damn pie hole. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're done. Okay? I don't know if anybody can wrap their mind around the most simplest thing and say, hey, that's really simple to understand. Because I know for a fact that there are people out there who can't and who would refuse to even go there because they want to complicate simplicity. There's got to be something more. There's got to be... No, there isn't. It's simple as this. 1871, the Act of 1871 created a corporation called the United States of America Incorporated, and their offices are in this place called Washington, D.C. And that is the only land they have the right and legal constitutional right to own, period, end of sentence. The BLM is irrelevant. 1913, President Woodrow Wilson signed into law behind closed doors without the approval of Congress, apparently, the Internal Revenue Act and the Federal Reserve Act, creating a bank for the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, a private bank for them. They lent money the following year to World War I, and the Rothschilds did it on their end in England, and guess what? We paid for both our side and the enemy's side. 1933, I believe it was Roosevelt, came along and said that each individual who has gold in their possession needs to give it up. Well, they did, just like obedient sheep. Nixon took us off the gold standard, but a few years before that, President John F. Kennedy tried to take us off the Federal Reserve note and put us back on the Treasury note. And we all know what happened to him on November 22nd, 1963. And by the way, did you know, let me say this again. Did you know that in 1959, a group of people, about 40 of them, were contracted, quote unquote, to look into some things and to make things happen for who? For then Senator John F. Kennedy. He ran for president, he won his presidency, and he debated Richard Nixon. Within that group of 40 people, guess who was there? Richard Nixon. Go look it up. It's all out there. When LBJ decided that he wasn't going to run for another term, guess who came up after him? Richard Nixon. And guess who was on the Warren Commission looking into the murder of John F. Kennedy? Senator Gerald R. Ford, who became vice president. So, with all the heat on them in 1974, 75, and 76, because Nixon resigned and Ford took over, they had to get somebody that was just totally and absolutely clueless to the whole behind-the-scenes chatter and all of that. And they got this little peanut farmer named Jimmy Carter. They put him in there. No, he wasn't. Nobody is elected to office, folks. Nobody. It's all selected. It's all played out. It's all war-gamed. It's all behind the scenes. Your votes don't count. Don't vote. Don't pay taxes. Don't do any of that because it does not matter. Okay? What matters is our God-given rights and our freedoms and liberties that we want as individuals. We want this country as it was, not as it was, but we want a renewed and a new republic based upon the Constitution and Bill of Rights of the United States of America, without the corporations running things, of, by, and for the people. And if you got balls enough to go out in the street and start protesting, I'll be right there standing next to you. And if you got balls to lock and load at the border and to tell ISIS, you ain't getting in here, I'll be right there next to you. If I had the resources right now, I would go down to the border right now and go with the militia that's down there right now. Matter of fact, there's a gold mine up in Oregon, in Bend, Oregon, that now the BLM says they can't mine in there. The BLM is irrelevant. They're a contracted private company, folks. That's what they are. They are irrelevant. There are militia members right now in Bend, Oregon, protecting that person's property and right to mine. Period. Because these guys got the balls. Okay? Do you people have the balls? I don't see you out in the street. I don't see you doing anything except bitching on Facebook and Twitter. Well, you got the balls to do that. Tapping away on a keyboard behind your damn computer. You better think about what's going to happen if your door gets kicked in by the militarized police force and taking you off to a FEMA camp. You want a Mad Max scenario? Just wait till next year. Okay? I will not put up with ignorance. I cannot put up with ignorant people. There's some people out there who refuse to look at the truth. Flat out refuse to look at the truth. And guess what? Doesn't matter to them. Doesn't matter to them. They don't really care. All they care about is waking up in the morning, taking a shower, going to work, coming home, kissing their wife, petting their dog, hugging their kids, sitting down in their chair and watching the stupid TV. They don't care. Well, I care. What can I do about it? Stand on your constitutional protection that our founding fathers made for you. Okay? It's just the way it is. A lot of states now are going, and a lot of governors are signing into law constitutional carry. Nevada is looking at legislation that would do away with the permit for concealed carry, so you can just conceal it and carry it on you. Doesn't matter. You can have it open. We're an open carry state here in Nevada. I'm broadcasting from the biggest little city in the world, Reno, Nevada. You can open carry all you want. Just don't carry it in a bank, a casino, or whatever. People are going to get freaked out because they're going to see a gun. So be prepared to get harassed by the DHS local police. Fact of the matter is no matter what you're doing, you can be driving an old beat-up Volkswagen Beetle, little bug. You've had one of those probably. And nothing's going to happen to you. Nothing. A beat-up car, it's driving on, and nothing's going to happen to you. But boy, oh boy. You get this fancy, nice Lexus with the nice rims and the nice paint job, and you do just, and you're there, and you go to work, and you come home, and you do what you got to do. Chances are, at some point during the week, you're going to get pulled over for no apparent reason whatsoever. And the cop is going to lie to you and say, well, your tail light's out. Really? Can I get out and see? If he says no, don't even get out of the car. Just say, I know it's not broke. Just find a way to constitutionally get in his face and tell him he is illegally detaining you. Okay, that's what it is. That's just the way it is. If he pulls you out of the car and throws you against your car and handcuffs you, he is now illegally kidnapping you. Okay? I've seen enough YouTube videos and read enough documents to tell you that much. But do the rest on your own. Because your rights are more important. All right? There's a lot of things we can do, folks. There's a lot of things we can do, but are we doing them? It's a simple yes or no question. Logic, on and off. Simple yes and no question. Make it a point to know your rights. Make it a point to know who those rights pertain to. Make it a point to know what rights the law enforcement departments have in regards to you. That way, you can use their tools against them. Okay? I don't know, folks. I don't know. And I'll tell you, I just don't know. I don't know. Let me tell you two things. First of all, I got a gut feeling, and it's never wrong. It's 100% correct at all times. I got a gut feeling that in the next coming few months into the summer, things ain't going to look happy for us in America, okay? They're not looking all hunky-dory now, but they're going to look even worse during the summer, okay? And I don't know where to go from there. I don't know what's going to happen by the end of the year. But I'm telling you that if trends continue, if this continues to go the way it's going, we're going to have a dictator in the White House. The Constitution of the United States of America is going to be suspended, and guess what? There are going to be no laws whatsoever, no rights that you can depend on because it's going to be gone. Do you really want that? You really want that? The other thing I want to say is this. If you have even a moment, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, read the Constitution of the United States of America and the Bill of Rights prior to 1871. By the way, there were 3 incarnations of the Constitution. 2 of them matter. The third one doesn't. And the third one is the Act of 1871, which is a corporate constitution between, well, management and labor. You being the labor. So, do what you do, folks. Do what you do, because it matters. Freedom, liberty, security, peace in the United States of America that you and I grew up in, were born and grew up in, and guess what? It does matter, yes. Everybody else that is either on a visa or have overstayed their visa or comes here illegally or whatever, get the hell out. What part of $18-19 trillion in debt do you not understand? You ain't coming here to get any freebies, I'm sorry. Jack it, pack it, and leave. because you got no reason to be here. And if you're ISIS or Al-Qaeda or ISIL or some sort of other CIA operative little regime and little group of people that think you're doing great, let me tell you something. You've just run into an immovable object, and that's called the Americans. And we got something that you don't. And believe me, we'll kick your ass clean back to the desert. Got it? Is that a threat? No, it's a promise. Am I talking out of school? No. I'm going to educate you on something. The United States of America was born and bred on the blood, sweat, and tears of every single person that wanted freedom, that wanted liberty, that wanted peace, that wanted security. And our founding fathers of this country went broke to bring that to us. Some died penniless because of the cause of freedom and liberty. And that flag hanging over Fort Sumner, got fired upon, that started the Civil War. And let me tell you something. We kicked ass. It's a civil war between two members of the same continent, of the same people, of human race. But Confederate President Jefferson Davis wanted to secede from the rest of the Union because he didn't like Abraham Lincoln. And there were some other things in there that were the catalyst for that thought of separating from the rest of the Union, of course. It had nothing to do with slavery. Nothing at all. That may have been like 1% of what it was, but the rest of it was just he didn't like it and he wanted to go away. So Abraham Lincoln did what he did. And people are complaining. What, Jefferson Davis and Abraham Lincoln? Lincoln was a socialist, but Jefferson Davis was a freedom fighter. Really? Can you go look into their lives? You'll find out, okay? But we kick some ass. My family's from the North. Hello. I had 3 members of my family in the Civil War. They were Union soldiers in Pennsylvania. Hello, or elsewhere. I think in Michigan also. I think it was Michigan now that I'm thinking about it. So, what's the bottom line, folks? We know their names. Let's just kick their ass. We know what they do. Now it's time to stop them. So do what you have to do. Do it legally. Do it hopefully peacefully. But if they want to, not be so peaceful, you have a God-given right to protect yourself. Now it's time to do what we need to do, and we need to get out in the street today. Not tomorrow, not this weekend, today. Right now, this minute, step out, go do what you got to do. Okay? If you disagree with anything that I'm saying, I want to hear from you. American Liberty Radio at USA.com. American Liberty Radio at USA.com. You can go to AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com for more information. You can go to my personal website, WayneSPierce.com, for more information there as well. And the show has a website, TheWayneSPierceShow.weebly.com. Check it out. Folks, it's always good. I wanted to say what I had to say because it's been on my mind for the last 24 hours. I will talk to you folks tomorrow in another podcast, the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast right here on the American Liberty Radio Network. Liberty is the road and freedom is the goal. This is the American Liberty Radio Network. Email us at AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com. Coming up next is the Chris Ann Hall Show, right here on the American Liberty Radio Network. You are listening to the most powerful network on the internet. This is the American Liberty Radio Network, sharing the truth, one fact at a time, without all the bull. American Liberty Radio Network, AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com.
I know you're out there. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.
The Chris Ann Hall Show.
Any varmint that crosses that lady's path has met its match.
Rise and shine, liberty-loving patriots. Welcome to the Chris Ann Hall Show. I want to talk about debt, baby. I want to talk about how that impacts you and me. I want to talk about where we should be. I want to talk about what we should be thinking. I want to talk about the mindset of the American people and how the mindset of the American spirit should be leading us. Do you know I have really been thinking and praying and meditating on this thought because what are our solutions and how do we fix what's going on and what's going wrong in this country? And I'm thinking, what is the biggest problem? And I think I have identified the biggest problem. The biggest problem is the fact that the American people have absolutely no concept of just how oppressed they are. The American people have no concept that the government is outside of their boundaries. The American people generally, I'm not speaking to you because you are listening to my show and you have some kind of idea, and you probably even in some aspects have an even greater idea than I do on things. But you see, we have a government that regulates every aspect of our lives, from the milk and the cereal that we eat in the morning to the sheets and the beds that we sleep in at night. And even now the air, the Supreme Court says the government can regulate. We have a government who is engaged in surveillance of every part of our lives, listening to our phone conversations. Oh, that's right. They're not actually listening. They're just storing them up, right? Let's just give them the benefit of the doubt. Storing up our phone conversations, our cell phone, text messages, all of our internet searches being stored up. And now we understand, according to the DEA and the DOJ, that they also have databases that have been in operation since 2008, storing up our activity in our motor vehicles, following our license plates as we drive, and these cameras with the technology and the ability to not simply identify our license plates and digitally track us, but then to see who is in the car, recognize our faces, who are we, where are we going, and who are we riding with? What is next? What is left? And the problem is not just the simple surveillance and regulation. The problem is that the people do not recognize this as such a violent violation of their liberty. It's I don't have anything to hide mentality, out of sight, out of mind mentality. And then we have absolutely no concept that the fact that we pay for all of these violations of our liberty, we're paying for this. The federal government has no such thing as revenue. There is no revenue in the hands of the federal government. Not legally, anyway. And so, in order to do what they do, they have to steal that money from us. It's theft, because they're not doing any of that stuff constitutionally. And if it's an illegal activity, then the funding of that, the seizing of those funds must be illegal as well. I want you to understand that what we're dealing with here is not so much the problem of over-government and overspending, but people who have an utter lack of understanding. It's not spending. It's not oppression that's the problem. It's the lack of understanding of the people of the power that they have to actually stop it. We feel powerless. And we are dictated in our actions by fear. There is absolutely nothing that the government should do that causes its people fear. Government is never supposed to have such a power over the people. The government is never supposed to have a power superior to the people itself. And that was even applicable to the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment, the framers who codified the Second Amendment said, we must have that Second Amendment so that the force at the command of Congress can never outpower the people. And that was just guns. You don't believe me? Listen to what Noah Webster has to say. Noah Webster, the guy who's smart enough to write his own dictionary, a dictionary that would be used even to this generation. I mean, not the same thing that's been nearly completely revised, but nonetheless. Noah Webster wrote, the reason we need the Second Amendment. He says, before a standing army can rule, the people must be disarmed as they are in almost every kingdom in Europe. The supreme power in America cannot enforce unjust laws by the sword because the whole body of the people are armed and constitute a force superior to any band of regular troops that can be on any pretense raised in the United States. A force at the command of Congress can execute no laws but such as the people perceive to be just and constitutional. For the people will possess the power, and jealousy of the people will instantly inspire the inclination to resist the execution of a law which appears to them unjust and oppressive. And that was talking about guns. The federal government should never out-arm the people, should never outpower the people. And the supreme power in America should never be able to force unjust laws on the people through fear. Why? Because the power of the people is always supposed to be superior to the power of the federal government. But as we approach tax time, how many of you file your taxes out of fear? Out of fear of the government seizing your bank account, out of fear of the government putting a lien on your house, out of fear of the government sending you to jail. Fear. Why? Because the federal government is now a force superior to the power of the people. Not in reality, but in practicality. See, in reality, the power still belongs to us. In reality, we still have the same power that we possessed when the Constitution was ratified in 1787. The problem is we don't know it, and we are fundamentally uninformed and ignorant of the very power that we wield. Obama says that it's not his job to cut back the sales. It's not his job to eliminate spending. That's not his job. My job, he says, is to present the right ideas And when the American people, when I tell the American people very clearly what direction I think the country should go in, occasionally the Republicans start agreeing with me. Do you catch that? This is insanity. It's not his job to cut back spending. No, of course not. Because historically speaking, executive branches always want to spend like crazy. I mean, I teach about Charles I in 1625, who is described in Anglo-Saxon history as being a massive spending king. One Anglo-Saxon historical account describes Charles as loving to romp about Europe in his own spending in his own whim and fancy. See, executive always wants vacations. Executives always want massive spending. But it's up to the people to control that. It's up to the people to cut that back. Obama wanting to spend more on roads and offer free education. Free. That's a funny little word, isn't it? Free. There is no such thing as free. And we need to realize that. Free means it doesn't cost anybody anything. But education costs. Do you think those teachers who are going to be teaching are going to be teaching volunteering and spending nothing? And demanding no pay? That's absolutely ridiculous. That's insane. That is ludicrous. But what are we going to do? How are we going to fund this new billion-dollar plan for roads and more billions of dollars for education and more billions of dollars to hand out in benefits to the people? How are we going to fund that? Well, the government will just raise more money, right? That's Obama's plan. We'll just raise more money. No, what that means is you will be spending more money. You will be losing more money. They will be taking that money from you. Oh, but it's just the rich people, right? Oh, no. Don't be surprised when it comes after you, because USA Today is reporting that the majority of the people will see lower tax refunds because of Obamacare. Not just the rich people, okay? That's you. That's you. That's the average citizen. Because Obamacare is going to attack everyone. And anyone who doesn't have insurance is going to see a lower refund. Oh, that's right, because it's not your money anyway, is it? It's the government's money, so you won't miss anything.
Chris Ann Hall Show. She's Liberty's lobbyist.
Welcome back to the Chris Ann Hall Show. Remember, you can find me at chrisannhall.com, KRISANNEHALL.com. You know, Obama says it's not my job to cut back spending. It's just my job to offer you benefits. Well, the crazy thing is that the Republicans don't even have a better plan. I mean, they're going to cut spending in some places, but they want to increase spending in defense, right? Because that's the big thing. The Republicans are big defense people, and the National Defense Authorization Act, and making sure that the military is funded, right? That we're going to make sure that our soldiers are taken care of. which is absolutely ridiculous because those defense budgets don't increase any benefits to the soldiers. If that were the case, the majority of our enlisted personnel wouldn't qualify for food stamps and economic assistance. If that were the case, our military units wouldn't be rationing out ammunition so that they could have proper training. No. Wake up, America. Those defense budgets that the Republicans want to increase spending on go to the defense contractors. $40 billion ground ballistic missile system that doesn't work. That's what we paid for. A $40 billion ground ballistic missile system that doesn't work, and then the Pentagon turned around and gave those defense contractors enormous bonuses. And now the the Pentagon's budget that they want for this new year is $561 billion. And most people say it's really closer to $1 trillion. And so now we have $40 billion. We paid for a $40 billion ground ballistic missile system that doesn't work. And according to the Freedom of Information Act request done by LA Times journalist David Williams, the Pentagon paid to those companies huge, huge bonuses. As a matter of fact, the LA Times is actually suing the Pentagon to release information on those bonuses and incentives paid to contractors for that failed $40 billion ground ballistic missile systems. Usually, this is what we know about America. And they want more money. But here's the kicker. They won't tell you how they're spending it. The Pentagon is actually blocking the information about this spending. They're refusing to hand it over. And now the LA Times is having to sue the government to give the people a tally on where this money is going and how it's being spent. The money is being stolen from you. The money is being spent at enormous rates, plushing out, packing out, filling up the pockets of these corrupt crony defense contractors at the permission of your Republican majority, who's, we covered this last week, who's probably handing out checks on the House floor to help make sure that these defense budgets are passed that make weapons we can't use and give bonuses to people who make garbage that don't work. And then we're going to hide that spending from you. How does that work? How does that work? I want to ask you something. Do you feel oppressed yet? Your money is being stolen from you. You are afraid not to pay the government, to spend billions of dollars on faulty equipment and then to reward those people with bonuses. We don't even know how much. It could be billions of dollars in bonuses, but we will never know because the government refuses to tell us how they're spending their money. And then the president says, it's not my job to cut back. And I'm expecting the Republicans to agree with me, and what do you think? You think the Republicans will eventually agree? Well, of course. We'll have a crisis, and they'll have no choice.
I was born for this, and some people wouldn't like that I was different. It never really mattered how hard it would be, cause she filled me with love and the strength to lead. She said, if you were gonna be a flame, then we're gonna light a bonfire. Let it burn, let it burn. Gonna burn something down if you get it our way.
The Chris Ann Hall Show. She's Liberty's lobbyist.
The president says it's not my job to cut back spending. It's my job to tell you how to spend more. The Republicans say we're not disagreeing with Obama that we should not cut back spending. We're just disagreeing that on what we should spend that money on. We don't want to cut spending. We just want to spend it on our stuff. We want to make our people fat. Who cares about the Democrats' constituents and the Democrats' cronies and the Democrats' corporate welfare? We want to engage in our own corporate welfare. We want to engage in our own cronyism, and we'll spend into debt even greater how we want to spend. That's the mantra of the Republicans today. And we want to give them a balanced budget. How important is it to have a balanced budget when the budget is balanced with trillions of dollars in debt? Seems to me that we shouldn't be fighting for a balanced budget. Seems to me that we should be fighting for a reduced budget. How about if we pass an amendment that says that the Congress has to operate constitutionally according to James Madison's definition of the General Welfare Clause? That says the government is not allowed to engage in spending on things that are not war, peace, negotiation, and foreign commerce. How about that? How about the fact that we have the government spend on things that they're only supposed to be spending money on and not welfare? Madison says welfare is not their job. Madison says roads is not their job. Madison says all of these things that our federal government is spending money on belongs to the states. But you know what? Something very important has eluded all of us. They're spending our money. Why don't we just stop giving it to them? Well, you can't do that, Chris Ann. They'll throw you in jail. They'll take your house. They'll seize your bank account. Why can they do that? How can they do that? See, the government is operating unconstitutionally. The government is operating illegally. How can they take your stuff without due process? Do we understand how powerful the power of the purse is? Look, they set these checks and balances up. And the one of the most powerful checks and balances is money. Article 1, Section 7 of the Constitution reads, all bills for raising revenue shall originate in the House of Representatives, but the Senate may propose or concur with amendments as on other bills. May. You know, the House needs to stop begging the Senate to pass a budget bill with them. As a matter of fact, if the House was smart, educated, and intelligent, they would shut up. Because any time that the Senate refuses to vote on their bill, then, according to Article 1, Section 7, the House gets exactly everything that they want. The bill comes back to the House, and they just simply pass it as it is, because the Senate has no real say. They may propose amendments or concur with amendments, but the final aspect of the bill, all spending, all cuts, are left in the hands of the House of Representatives. Why? Madison tells us exactly why. He says, the House of Representatives can not only refuse, but they alone can propose. They alone can propose what? The supplies requisite for the support of the government. They can refuse to supply, and they alone can propose those supplies. He says they, in a word, hold the purse, that powerful instrument by which we behold in the history of the British Constitution to be the greatest control of government. He says, the power of the purse, I'm quoting, the power of the purse may, in fact, be regarded as the most complete and effectual weapon with which any constitution can arm an immediate representatives of the people. And here's the key. We're going to focus on this right now. For obtaining a redress of every grievance, and for carrying into effect every just and salutary measure. Article 1, Section 7 is placed in the hands of the House of Representatives, the power of the purse, so that they can redress the grievances of the people, because the House of Representatives is the direct representatives of the people. That's why it was given to you. Madison says the Constitution places the power in the House of originating money bills. The principal reason why the Constitution has made this distinction over the Senate is because the House was chosen by the people, he says, and supposed to be best acquainted with their interest and their ability. The power of the purse is placed in the hands of the House on purpose for a purpose. An important, a valuable and invaluable check on government power. It reigns in the hands of the people to control the spending and the growth of every government. And this is what they say: to redress the grievances of the people. That should be very familiar to you. That is an aspect of our First Amendment. The power to petition the government for a redress of our grievances. To petition the government for a redress of our grievances is part of our First Amendment. And Madison is telling us that the power of the purse in the hands of the House is a redress of our grievances. We have a right to have our grievances redressed, and the power of the purse is the most powerful tool, Madison says, available to the people. But what happens when the House doesn't listen to us anymore? When the House is stealing our money, when the House is spending our at enormous rates on things that they're not supposed to be spending money on. Hey, the GOP has announced that they will be voting to repeal Obamacare. You think that's really going to happen? I mean, are we going to see that vote? Is the media even going to cover that? We will consider a bill to protect individuals from government-imposed cost increases and reduced access to care and coverage by repealing Obamacare, Ken McCarthy says. How's that going to happen? Is that really going to happen? You think that's going to happen? You know what? They have the power to do it. Article 1, Section 7. These are the grievances of the people. They have the power to do this. Are they going to do it? Article 1, Section 7 says they can defund Obamacare. Are they going to do it? I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of hope. So what are the options? I want to read to you something that Thomas Jefferson wrote in 1775 to Lord North. And I quote, "The privilege of giving or withholding our money is an important barrier against the undue exertion of prerogative, which, if left altogether without control, may be exercised to our great oppression. And all history shows how efficacious its intercession of redress of grievances and establishment of rights, and how improvident would be the surrender of so powerful a mediator. The privilege of giving or withholding our money is an important barrier against the undue exertion of prerogative which, left altogether without control, may be exercised to our great oppression." 1775. 1775. There is no House of Representatives in 1775. Jefferson is not talking about government limiting itself. Jefferson is talking about the power of the purse ultimately resting in the hands of the people. And the privilege of giving or withholding our money to the government is an important barrier against their increase of power. He says, and if we don't have that barrier, it will be our oppression that is the result. Great oppression, he says. He says all history shows how effective the power of the purse in the hands of the people is. Ready? For redress of grievances. I want to ask you a question. Our framers are trying to tell us that our power to withhold money from the government is an important check and balance. In 1774, the Continental Congress said, if money is wanted by rulers who have in any manner oppressed the people may retain it until their grievances are redressed, and thus peaceably procure relief without trusting the despised petitions or disturbing the public tranquility. They have described in 1774 that the people withholding the money that the rulers want as an important redress of their grievances, and a peaceable one. A peaceable redress of our grievances, according to the Continental Congress in 1774, is to withhold giving our money to the government. I want to read something to you. I want to hear these things over and over again. If money is wanted by rulers who have any manner oppressed the people may retain it until their grievances are redressed. Jefferson, the privileges of giving or withholding our money is an important barrier against undue exertion of prerogative, which, if left altogether without control, may be exercised to our great oppression. And all history shows how efficacious its intercession for redress of grievances. I want to read to you the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of your grievances. Can I ask you a question? According to everything that you have just heard, wouldn't that mean withholding the payment of your taxes is covered under the First Amendment? Think about that.
The Chris Ann Hall Show. She's Liberty's lobbyist. Chris Ann Hall Show. She's Liberty's lobbyist.
The First Amendment guarantees you a right to petition the government for a redress of your grievances. James Madison says, the power of the purse, in fact, may be regarded as the most complete and effectual weapon with which any constitution can arm the immediate representatives of the people for obtaining a redress of every grievance. But what happens when the representatives of the people are no longer listening to the people, and they are those who are passing the laws that take our money and oppress us? The Continental Congress says, in 1774, if money is wanted by rulers who have in any manner oppressed the people, they may retain it until their grievances are redressed. Jefferson says in 1775, the privilege of giving or withholding our money is an important barrier against the undue exertion of prerogative, which, if left altogether without control, may be exercised to our great oppression. And that this withholding of our money is the most effective redress of our grievances, he says. And the First Amendment says that Congress cannot prohibit our petition to the government for a redress of our grievances. Our founders are trying to tell us that we have the power to withhold money to the government, and that that is a valuable, peaceful way to protest and get a redress of our grievances. So we should know that. But here is the key, isn't it? if money is wanted by rulers who have in any manner oppressed them. The privilege of giving money or withholding our money is an important barrier against those who have oppressed us. We don't feel oppressed enough to actually take a stand. We don't. We're okay with the government spying on us. Now look, I firmly believe that if after you received every paycheck, you had to walk to the office of the tax collector and hand them the money that they want, things would be totally different. If you had to take and cash your paycheck and turn around and walk down to the tax collector's office and hand the tax collector the money that they want, we would not be happy with the taxation system that we have. If government agents walked up to you on the street and said, I need your cell phone, I'm not going to read your emails, don't worry, I'm not going to read your text messages, I'm just going to download all your information into this zip drive, and I'm going to, take it with me. What would you do if a government agent walked up to you on the street and said, hey, I'm going to do this. No, I'm not going to read it. We're just going to store it up. No big deal. Simple, in and out, very easy, no intrusion. You would look at him and go, what? Take a walk. You might even punch somebody in the nose if they try to take it from you. What if the government come up to you one day as you were leaving your house, 3 agents, and said, we have decided this week we're going to sit in the back seat of the car. We're going to drive with you everywhere you go. We're going to document who is in the car with you. We're going to document where you go. Don't worry, we're going to do it very quietly. We will never interfere. We'll never tell you you can't go anywhere. We're just going to ride in your car with you this week. You'd be like, what? I don't think so. But they're doing it. They're doing each and every one of that. They're taking your money. They're storing your data. What if they came in your house and said, we're just going to live with you for a week, and we're just going to watch you on your internet and watch what you watch on TV and document everything. Don't worry, you won't know we're here. We're just going to be really quiet about it. What? But they're doing it. Feel oppressed yet? Taking your money to fill the pockets of their cronies on both sides. Feel oppressed yet? You are funding all this activity. Feel oppressed yet? And here's the problem. We don't feel oppressed enough to actually stand for our liberty. Jefferson says, prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations... are we at the end of our long train of abuses and usurpations? I don't think so. I think the real problem in America is we don't feel oppressed yet. We're still okay with everything the government is doing. I want you to realize you are oppressed, and you have a right to redress your grievances. And it's time for us to stand so our children don't have to. Think about these things seriously and consider what your options are. God bless. See you tomorrow.